So guys, welcome to a new course on collection module. Basically in Python, we have four general purpose built-in collections. That is, you can see over here, dictionaries, list, set and tuple. List is basically, you write in box bracket, which is changeable and you can change the orders and all. Then we have tuple. Tuple is obviously unmutable and you write in parentheses. Then we have set, which you write in inside the curly braces and which is also ordered and it doesn't have any kind of indexes. And dict or dictionaries, that is basically a key value pair which has like different values for every particular keys, right? And in Python we have also an extra module that is called collections. It is built-in module, you don't need to install it manually. Okay, and it contains these things: name tuple, Deque, Chainmap, counter, order dictionary, default dictionary, user dict, user list, user string. So join in this course, and in this course we will learn more about this collection module and how to use these different kind of things. Okay, so this is basically the documentation of the collection module and we will use this several times throughout this course. Okay. So if you watched our intro video, you already learned about this collection module, right? So it basically has these things: name, tuple, Deque, chain map, counter and all. Okay. So in this video, we're going to start using this name table. Okay. So I'll use Jupyter Notebook. You can obviously also use PyCharm or VS Code or whatever you can. And if you don't have any one of them, you can also use the default ideally, which comes when you install Python. Okay, so let me show you that thing as well. So if you go after installing Python, you will obviously see a folder called Python space the version which you installed. For me it's Python 3.8, and then you will get this ideally. You can also write all the codes inside this ideally. Okay, this is the Python basic ideally which already come with the Python module. Okay, when you install Python on your device. Okay, so I'll use Jupyter Notebook. So I'll just write over here shift plus right click, and then we will get this open PowerShell window here, and just click on it and I'll write Jupyter Notebook. Okay, and if you want to know how to install Jupyter Notebook, you can just simply YouTube that thing. Okay, in YouTube there are so many videos on how to install Jupyter Notebook on your device. Then I'll just create a new Python file and yeah, I'll name it collection module. Okay, so I already told you that collection module is built in on your Python. You don't need to install it manually, right? So to import collection module, you just need to write import collections. Okay, that's it. Let me just show you that if I run this cell, you can see there is no error. I didn't install collection module manually. Okay, so it is built in Python. So since we will use this name table in this video, so we don't need collection modules totally, right? So we can just write over here from collections only import the name tables. Okay, so import named tuple. Okay, that's it. So you can see it didn't throw any kind of error, and now here I'll just write. So before writing name table, let me tell you what is actually name table. So if you write normal tuples, you know that tuples contains like a value which has only indexes, right? So whenever you call something, you have to call by index, right? But if you use name table, every value will have a name. Okay, so instead of calling with the index, you can directly call with the name. Okay, so let me go into the documentation. You can see this is the name tuple documentation, and for name table you first need to set one variable which contains the name which you will gonna use every time. Okay, so for example, I'll just make a variable called x, and that will be nothing but the name tuple, and inside the parentheses we are going to write courses, and then a comma, and then you can also write it inside the list. You can see over here it they wrote inside the list, or you don't need to write the list as well. You can directly write a single quotation, then the names which you are going to use. For example, I have some like data of course name and course language. Okay, so I'll just write over here name and comma, and then a language or something like that. Okay, So now if you want to use this name tuple, obviously when you create a tuple, you just create one more variable that contains the tuple, right? So similarly here also you just need to create a tuple, for example that is t, and that will be nothing but the x. Okay, so x is the variable which contains the names, right? So x, then parenthesis, and then you can just write the name and the language. So I'll just write over here, the name is assume machine learning or data science. Okay, data science. And then we have the language, that will nothing but the Python, right? So now in case if I just print t, you can see that it is a course and the name is data science and the language is Python. So this data science and Python is initialized with a name. Okay, so the name is for the first one it is name, and the second one it is language. Okay, you can just change it with anything. For example, it is technology. Now if I run it, you can see now it is changed with technology, right? So in this way you can use this name tuple. Okay, and now there are few more things you can do with this name tuple. You can just go into the documentation. You can see there is make, then there is as dict. For example, if you just convert this thing into a dictionary, because it kind of looks like a dictionary, right? Because you can see the name is the key and data science is the value. Similarly, the technology is the key and Python is the value of that, right? So for that you just need to write this underscore, then as dict, and then the parenthesis. Okay, so let's do that as well. So yeah, you can see after printing t, if I just write over here t dot underscore as dict, and now if I run it, yeah, now you can see the normal t is this thing, the name tuple, right? But when I write this as dict, now you can see it is a order dictionary. Okay, now it is a dictionary. Similarly, if you have like multiple values in a list, you can also use the make comment. Okay, so this one. So if you have values as a multiple lists, you can just use this underscore make. Okay, let me show you that thing as well. So yeah, I'll just write over here. For example, we have a list. I'll just name a variable called L, and that contains database. Okay, yeah, database management system, or I'll just write over here dbms. Okay, and the language for that is assume SQL. Okay, and now if I want to use this list as a tuple, we just need to write over here print because we already initialized the name tuple as x, so we just need to write x, then dot, then underscore make, and inside the parenthesis we have to pass the list, that is L, right? So now if I run it, you can see it contains name is dbms and technology is SQL. So you can also use a list as a name tuple. Okay, so guys, now we will see about Deque. Okay, so you can see the second one is Deque. It is actually a list like container which will help you to fastly append or pop or insert or delete anything from a list. Okay, so let me just click on it and you can see this is Deque. So let me import Deque first of all. So from collections, import Deque. Okay, that's it. And now let's create a variable, for example a, and that will be equals to a list of some values. For example, I'll just write refinder, which is our website, and where you will get all the course for free. Okay, and now assume we wanna append some values with the list a. Okay, so normally if you use the normal append, it will append at the end of the list. Obviously you will do that as well, so I'll just make it a Deque. Okay, a is equals to Deque of a. Okay, and now we are going to append, for example a dot append, and here I'll just write Python modules. Okay, now if I print a, okay, now you can see it is a Deque of all the list, and the Python module is now added at the end of the list. Okay, similarly if you want to append at the beginning of the list, In list, obviously you can't do that. You have to use the indexing methods. But here, if you just use append left, okay, that's it. Now if I run it, you can see the Python modules is now added at the beginning of the list. Okay, similarly there are so many things. Obviously whatever you can do with list, you can also do with Deque. So append left, then clear, copy, count, extend left. So these are kind of similar. Extend means, okay, where is that? Yeah, extend means if you have multiple list, you can add list with another list. Okay, so similarly if you want to add the second list at the beginning of the first list, then you can just use this extend left. And there is index, which is kind of similar as list, and then we have pop. Let's use that as well. Okay, so pop means, pop basically does like it remove the last element from the list. Okay, so after printing a, let's do one thing, a dot pop, and then print a. Okay, now if I run it, you can see the last element r is now removed. Similarly, if you want to remove the first element from the list, you just need to use pop left. Okay, so pop left, that's it. Now the Python modules will be removed because the refiner is the, you know, the initial list. Then Python module is added at the beginning of the list, and then it printed this thing. So you can see Python module is at the beginning of the list. Now it will pop the first element from the list. That means it will remove the Python modules. Okay, so now if I run it, you can see it removed the Python modules, and now it is printing refiner only. Okay, so let's go into the documentation. Now you can see this is kind of like optimized version of the actual list. So obviously you can do the same things you do in the list, but this is kind of easy to use the insert and delete method in a list. Okay, so if you want to use the insertion and deletion multiple times in a list, you can obviously use this Deque. Okay, instead of writing normal list. So this is all about this Deque. Okay. So now let's see how to use Chainmap. Okay, so in this documentation, you can see this is Chainmap, and this is nothing but like assume if you have multiple dictionaries, it will you know, map two dictionaries into a single list. You can clearly see over here dict like class for creating a single view of multiple mappings. Okay, so let's do that. I'll just copy the first two lines from here so that I don't need to write it manually. It is going to take some time. So yeah, that's right. So from collection, collection import chain map. Okay, so let's run it. Yeah, now it ran properly. Now if I paste that particular thing and I'll just remove these three arrows, yeah, now you can see these are nothing, like these are two dictionaries basically. Like baseline is the first dictionary which has two key values, that is music and art. And you know, music has this value batch and the art has the value of whatever that is. So I'll just make it simplify. Okay, a, this is B, this is C, this is D, and this will be right aim or no, value 1. Okay, value 1, and I'll copy paste it everywhere. And value 2, this one will be like value 3, and this will be value 4. Okay, that's it. So these are like two dictionaries. Okay, so now assume if you want to simplify these two dictionaries into a single list, then we will use this chain map. Okay, so I'll just make one more variable, that is assume cm, that means chain map, and that will be nothing but the chain map of these two dictionaries, that is the baseline comma adjustments. Okay, you can name the variable anything you want. And now if I just print the cm, so now you can see this is now mapped the two dictionaries. Okay, so now these two dictionaries are inside a single one, right? Now you all know that one dictionary cannot contain duplicate keys, right? So if you just make this C as B, now you can see in the baseline dictionary we have A and B two keys. Similarly in the adjustment dictionary we have B and D two keys, right? Before that, let me just write C, and let me just write over here list of CM. Okay, and now And now if I run it, you can see it printed only the keys of these two dictionaries, that is A, B and C, D. Okay, C, D first and then A, B. Okay, now if I just change it with B, now you can see the two keys now is a duplicate, right? The B is inside this baseline dictionary as well as this adjustment dictionary. But now if I run it, you can see it printed B only single time. It is not repeating the same thing. Okay, this is the special thing about this chain map. Now let's see about counter. Counter is a dictionary subclass for counting hashable objects. Hashable object means the numbers which is iterable. Okay, so first of all, I just need to import counter from collections, import counter. Okay, that's it. Now to use counter, obviously we need to create a variable that will be anything which is repeated. Okay, for example, I'll just let me just see if there is something which I can copy. Yeah, you can see that it is like a b b. Okay, there are multiple a's and multiple b's. Okay, so I'll just make a numbers. Okay, 2 comma 2 comma 4. I'll just make a long series of duplicate numbers.
2000 years later.
So you can see I made a list of numbers, okay, which is duplication. Okay, you can see 2 has been repeated over here, 2 comma 2, then here also 2, then okay, let me just zoom it a bit. Yeah, now you can see there are, yeah, multiple twos, multiple values, right? So for example, now if you want to count the single numbers, like how many times it has been repeated, so for that you just need to write print counter of A. Okay, now you can see 4 has been repeated 5 times, 2 has been repeated 4 times. So let's see that. You can see 2, there is 1, 2, then 3, and here 4, right? So that means 2 has been repeated for 4 times. Similarly, 8 has been repeated for 4 times, 5 has been repeated for 3 times, 6 has been repeated for 3 times. Okay, now you can see one thing, that it is in descending order. Okay, so the first one has the maximum repetition because you can see it is repeated 5 times, right? Then these are like repeated 4 times, then these are repeated 3 times, then 2, 1, and yeah, so on, right? So you can also use it for letters, words, everything, okay, which is iterable. Okay, now there are a few more things you can do with counter. Okay, so let's go into the documentation. You can see there is this element functions, most common function, then subtract function. Okay, so assume, yeah, let's do the element function first of all. So I'll just make a comment of element function. Okay, and this will be nothing but it will show you the elements in a list. Okay, so print the list of the counted elements. Okay, so I need to make a variable of this counter A so that I can use the variable every time when I want to use this counter. Okay, so C will be equals to this counter variable, and now we just need to write over here C dot elements. Okay, so let's run it. Yeah, now you can see it printed the 2 4 times, then 4 for 5 times, then 5 for 3 times, and yeah, so it will actually show you all the element in like a serial order. Okay, because you can see in the initial list we have like 2 is over here, then over here, then random 2 is in the random places, but now these are all set, now these are all in order, right? And now there is one more thing, that is the most common is like basically same as when you printed the counter A. Okay, so let me just show you that thing as well. Print of c dot most underscore common, and this is the function, so I have to write parentheses. Now if I run it, you can see this is kind of same. Okay, let me just comment this out, and yeah, let's make one more comment, that is most common function. And now if I run it, yeah, you can see when you print only the counter A, it shows like 4 for 5 times. Similarly over here it is 4 for 5 times, then 2 for 4 times. Yeah, you can see over here, so it is actually similar to what you printed the counter A, but in different format. okay, because you can see this is in the dictionary format, but now it is in the tuple format. Okay, but now there is one more thing, that is the subtraction. So subtract function, yeah, okay, sorry, subtract function. Now, yeah, you can see, now assume we have this 4 for 5 times, right? But you want 4 for 3 times, so we can just remove the 2 more 4s, okay, from the actual list. Okay, so let me just make a variable that is like ace, which will be subtracted from a, and that will contains a dictionary of, like, you can see when you printed the counter, it is basically a dictionary. Okay, so let me just comment this thing. uh, yeah, you can see now, when we printed the counter a only, it is in dictionary format, right? So obviously you also need to write it into a dictionary format. Okay, so for example, we wanna remove the 2 more 4. So 4 is the key, the value will be 2, and then assume the 8 should be now 1 time, so we are going to remove 8. Okay, 8 for 3, that means 3 8 will be removed. And similarly, for example, 1 6 will be removed, so 6 clone 1. Okay, okay, that's it. Now in case if you want to subtract that thing, so we just need to write over here c, which is nothing but the counter a, and after that write subtract, and inside the parenthesis we have to write the variable name which you want to subtract. For here it is s, right? So we want to subtract s from c. Now in case if I print c now, yeah, now you can see that over here it is 4 for repeating 5 times, that means it printed this line. And then when we subtracted ace from the actual list, now the 4 is now 3 times, right? So over here 8 is repeated 4 times, but we subtracted 8 3 times, so now 8 is 1 times, right? Similarly over here 6 is repeated 3 times, but we removed the 1 6, and now you can see the 6 is repeated 2 times. Okay, so in this way you can use this subtract function as well. So now let's see about these order dictionaries, right? So order dictionary basically remembers the entries in the dictionary. Okay. So for example, I'll just make a dictionary called D, and that will be nothing but, okay, before that, obviously we have to import the order dictionary. So from collections, import order dict. Okay, that's it. Yeah, now if I just write a variable name that is d, and that will be nothing but the order dict. Okay, and now I'll just insert some values inside the d dictionary, because now if I write d, you can see this is an empty dictionary, right? So now we are going to write some values, like insert some values inside this dict. Okay, so d1 will be equals to assume r. Okay, d2 will be assume equals to I. Okay,
12 seconds later.
so yeah, now you can see we inserted, like, the key is 1, the value is r. Okay, so this is the order. Now if you just print d, yeah, now you can see it remembered the order. Now it printed 1 r first, then 2 I second, then third. Okay, now in case I just change this one and paste it over here, yeah, now yeah, if I run it, you can see it remembered the order. Okay, so 1 r 2, 1 2, then 4, then 3, then 5. Yeah, that's how it works. It actually remembered the order in which you inserted data inside the dictionary. So it also has all the, all the function which you use in normal dictionaries. For example, if you just write over here, print the keys of the dictionary d, so d dot keys, if I run it, yeah, you can see it printed all the keys. Okay, so now instead of keys, if you just write over here values, it will print all the values, that is riifi. Okay, let me just, yeah, it looks odd, so let me cut and paste it over here. Now if I run it, yeah, you can see it printed refinder. Similarly, if you just write items, it will print the total dictionary. Okay, so it has all the function which you used in normal dictionary, but it remembers the order in which you inserted data in a dictionary. So now let's see about this default dictionary. Okay, so default dictionary actually like you initialize a default value. Okay, normally, okay, let me show you one thing. Before that, I have obviously need to import the default dictionary. So from collections, import DefaultDict. Okay, that's it. Now assume we have a variable called x, and that will be a dictionary of one, and one is the key, and the value will be assume refinder, and then we have two, and that value is assume python, and then assume we have three, and that value is collections. Okay, so now in case if you just print the x and the value of 1, okay, now if I run it, you can see the value of 1 is refinder. Similarly, if you just write over here 3, the value of 3 is collections. But in case if you just write 4 over here, you can see there is a key error. So that is because there is no default value. If you write a key which doesn't belongs to that particular dictionary, it will throw an key error, right? So to get rid of that, we have this default dict. So let's go into the documentation, and you can see, yeah, so you can see you can just write default dict, and inside the parenthesis you can write list, then integers and all. Okay, so to write a default dictionary, you just need to write over here. Okay, I'll just make one more, one more cell over here. I'll just write over here y is a default dict. Okay, y is a default dict, and the default value is assume int. You can obviously write int, list, and these kind of things. Okay, so yeah, now let's write y1 has a value of refinder. Okay, and then y2 has a value of python. Okay, now in case if you just print y2, it will, okay, it should be in the box bracket y2. Yeah, now you can see it printed python. But in case if you just write now y3, okay, but if you writing y3 for a normal ordinary dictionary, it will throw this key error, right? But now if you just write y3, you can see it printed 0, which is the default value of an integer. Okay, you can obviously write over here float, which will be a floating value. You can see 0 0.0. Then you can write over here list, which will be like empty list. If you are writing some key which is not in that particular dictionary, it will throw a empty list. You can see it through an empty list. Okay, but it will not throw this key error. Okay, so to get rid of the key error, you can obviously use this default dict. And lastly, we have this user dict, user list, and user string. Uh, you don't need to do it practically, okay? Because uh, user dict means like, let me show you that thing. Yeah, you can see this is the user dict. This is like a wrapper around dictionary objects, and the need of this class has been partially supplanted by the ability of the subclass directly from the dict. You can just read the documentation. There is no practical form of these things. Okay, so you can just read these three things from the documentation. I'll put the documentation link under this video. You can just go into the documentation and read these three objects. Okay, there is no practical implementation of these three things. Okay,